Well, hello there and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're well and having a great day. If you're here for the first time, welcome, and if you're coming back as usual, thank you so much for joining me once again. It's really a pleasure to have you follow me and support the channel growth. So in today's video, I want to make something really beautiful, as I usually like to do. It really excites me when you guys are really enthused about the quilt that I have put up, and it really excites me when you buy the pattern as well, because I know you're going to be making one. All right, so I have these beautiful 5 bundles here, of 5 pieces I should say, of fat quarter, and it's by Fabric Editions. Very groovy, in fact. That's the name of the bundle, groovy bundle of prints here. Now remember, I've been saying to you that florals are in for 2025. Well, these are the particular type of florals that's actually in. Now the florals that are in is those groovy sort of 1970s sort of groovy prints. I don't know if you've been noticing them about in your quilt store, but they are definitely out for 2025. The florals with lots of white in between is not so much popular these days. Excuse me. But let me show you what they look like. Very vibrant colors, very groovy. That's one of them. This one is a smaller print. I'm literally opening it with you. I've not opened it at all, so I didn't know this smaller print exists. But there are prints where there is no huge gaps of white in them. Okay, this one is another vibrant, very beautiful one, and they go together very nicely. Look at that. Doesn't that remind you of the 70s and the 60s? Just so beautiful. This one is a slightly bigger than the first one that I showed you that was small. This one here as well. So if you'd like to get the same bundle, by all means look for what's it called again? Fabric Editions. That's it. So www.fabriceditions. And I think I saw they have their products in Joanne as well, but I think Joanne is closing down. I don't know if it's all of Joanne's is closing down, but I know I've heard and seen that on YouTube. This one is my favorite print. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Just a gorgeous. So I only have 5. Not sure how big the quilt will be with this particular size, but I am going to trim them down in fat quarter sizes, meaning I am going to, you know, there's certain cuts, number of cuts you can get from fat quarters. You cannot get, you know, sort of 4 inches. 4 10-inch squares. You can cut them down into 9 inches, but I'm not sure what size I'm going to give because I want to maximum the amount of cuts I get from this. I'm also going to be using some white backing. I don't think any other color will be suitable because I think any other color will be too strong. I did thought of a beautiful, strong, vibrant yellow, but I think it might just be a little bit too much. So I think white will be suitable because there are some white in between all of the florals. Every single one of them, actually. So I think it would work, definitely. Also very beautiful orange color that they come in. This one I do find is a little bit odd in the whole collection, but you always find that, don't you, whereby they always put this sort of odd fabric in between, or such odd color, I would say. But again, still very 1960s and 70s. It's amazing how all these things come back, isn't it? All right, so let's get started doing some cutting. The pattern will be in the description box down below, and hopefully you would like to actually try it out. It's going to be a beginner friendly one, so nothing too hectic, and hopefully we can compile it quite quickly. And what I would like to say as well, if you haven't signed up for the Block of the Month course yet, now is the time. This is the last sort of telltale I'm going to tell you, because once we get started, I probably am doubtful that I'll actually remember to mention it again. But if I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. All right, so block of the month starts on the 14th of February. It's only $8 US, very affordable, and you can only make the block when the block comes out, obviously, because you don't get the pattern then, and it'll be so much more easier for you to cope. Okay, because I know we all lead busy lives. I know I do, and sometimes it can be even a struggle to get things done, whether, you know, because I've got so much stuff to do sometimes. Sometimes I'm just exhausted, to be honest. I'm just tired and my back hurts and okay, I'm complaining. All right, so with that being said, join the block of the month. Let's get started. All the details for the block of the month will be in the description box down below. If you've never joined one before, I will urge you to start on this one. It's going to be a beautiful one. I have all the details all ready to get started, and I am looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing the quilt, to be honest. Let's get started. So I've ironed all of my fat quarters here, and I'm going to stack them together so that I can do one set of cuts, or at least cut them in two set of groups rather than one. And I'm going to make sure and just line it up properly, basically, so that everything works together in harmony, basically. Sometimes you may need to straighten up the edges, sometimes you don't, if the fat quarter is not cut straight. Personally, I actually hate when that's the case and they don't cut it properly. So as I'm here with this one here, I'm going to give it a check and make sure it is actually straight. So went ahead and cut all of the fat quarters into the sizes that I require. So all that's left now is to cut for my strips. And I'm going to do that in quite a lot so that it finishes quite quickly. Right, so now that I have both of my piles, all I'm going to do is sit and sew And I'm going to make the blocks as simple as this, just like that. All right, and then we will go on to the next stage. All right, so as long as you've mixed them all up, the important thing is not to have like for like on the same side. Update now. This is where I'm at, okay, and I am still working out if all of the colors are not too close together. I think I have done it on the first layout. I've literally just finished laying it out, and I thought I would let you see what the update is. So let me say this as a reminder. So after I sewed together, I trimmed so that all the blocks are the same size, okay? What I would say though is that it was an actual push to get the last 4 blocks, because I have 5 in a row here, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 blocks all together. Okay, is it 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, yeah, 25. And it was a bit of a push to get the last 3 or 4 blocks, and I'll tell you why. Because I am using a bundle of 5 fat quarters. If you are going to make this quilt, I would definitely say yardage is perfect. If you do have a fat quarter bundle, to avoid the having to squeeze the fabric, so to speak, I would definitely say a 6 or a 7. 8, even better, you'll be able to make more. But what I had to do is at the ends, I sewed them to get the block, and you know, I had to literally take some trimmings and add it up. One of the reasons I had to do that is because I accidentally cut the fabric, and I'll show you one. So this is a seam line there. So when I was actually cutting, I cut that bit in half accidentally. So then I had to do a scant seam in order to get it together. And I'll show you, so you'll see it's another 1/4 inch. All right, I had to do a scant seam, literally. And also a scant seam along here with that white in the middle as well. Nevertheless, I got there in the end. I also had to use a little bit of the trimmings, as I said, to add up to the quantity that I needed, but I got there. But for you, I would recommend you don't use 5. If you are going to use 5, just be careful you don't cut the fabric, because had I not cut the fabric, I would have been fine not having to use a scant seam. All right, that was my downfall. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was watching TV. Okay, well, I should say YouTube. All right, so that's where I'm at. Okay, so the spaces in between, I am going to add another set of sashings, horizontal and vertical, and I may border it. It looks very retro. I knew that before, didn't I? That it looked retro. So I'm going to add some sashings again. In the middle here, I've got a few. Right, so I'm going to add it in there like so, to separate the blocks once again. It's going to look slightly confusing, I think, but I'm not worried. I may change it because I am not liking the horizontal next to each other. That's my only concern. Once I add the sashing, you get another horizontal there. So for example, let me put it closer to the camera. Add it there. I have 2 strips right next to each other that looks like the straight lines. So that is my concern at the moment. So what if I turn it this way? That's not bad to turn them all one way. That could be an option to see how I go with it. That could be an option. Let's have a look and see if I do it this way. Now this is the way I make my quilts. I like to think on my feet, and that's where my ideas comes. You know, so I don't rush it. I really do take my time. Unless it's something I want to put together really quickly. And I know I haven't done a video for a while, then I will do that. Now, okay, looking at up here, I'm just not feeling all that strips sort of effect. Do like this, and bear in mind, I also want to add the fabrics going this way as well. I also want to add a sashing in between, so that may just be a little bit too much white fabric. May just be. Alright, because if I let's keep putting these strips in between and see what they look like, because that's the only way you're going to get the visual, is to really put them in and see what it looks like. So let me look at the camera. This doesn't look bad, but I'm not sure about up there. I mean, up there it looks, looking at the camera, it looks all right. What do you guys think? Tell me down below. What do you think? Do you like this layout with all of the strips this way, horizontal, or you like it vertical? Let me know down below, because at this point I'm not sure where I'm going to go with it, to be honest. That's an honest that's an honest response. Not sure. I may ask my husband, because he has good eyes for these things, because his family were into fabrics. They used to make furniture covers and stuff like that, so he always used to help out with the family business. So he does have a good eye for these things, these fabrics connections. So he may say, get rid of the white and use something else. I mean, it looks all right, actually. I'm looking at the camera rather than looking at the table, because sometimes seeing it the art from another lens brings clarity, because when you close up like this, makes you confused. So let me remove my glasses. I think it looks okay. It looks like a jigsaw puzzle, which is good, because I want the viewer or the person looking at the quilt to wonder, well, how did she make that? That is what I'm aiming at, even though it's constructed quite easily. All right, so I'm going to decide. I'm going to take 10 minutes to decide, and because Carl's not home, so it's either I wait till he gets home or I just go for it. I'm going to go for it. Yeah, I'm going to go for it. I'll decide off camera, because I don't know. But what I do want to do is rearrange, because I can see some of them a little bit closer to each other. Rearrange so that I know what's what. But either way, I think they look good. I wonder if I should change the strips. No, I'm going to leave it white. I'm going to leave it, I already cut it as well. I'm going to leave it white. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next update. So I'm going to do some meandering flowers for my quilting, obviously. And just show you a little bit. I haven't done this in a long time. Show you what I'm doing for quilting. Yeah, so you can actually see that I actually quilt all of my quilts. I have never taken any of them to a long arm quilter. I always do them myself. So here we go. So the quilt is now completed and it measures 45 by 60. What do you guys think? I think it's turned out absolutely gorgeous. Now, what I would say though is that I use some yardage from my stash. I wanted to have an extra row. The fat quarter bundle allowed me to make 5 rows, but I wanted to make an extra. So I went to my yardage and I added these particular fabrics here. And I think I have added to the collection really nicely. I think it plays in very nicely. The colors ties in very well. It's just as high contrasting and giving that retro feel, just like the ballads of the fat quarters. I think it works really well. The bundle will work really, really nicely. I did a very simple flower meander all over, and I think that works out really nicely as well. So there is one there. I did quite a number of it. I try to do them more in the wide area so that it actually shows up. I use a light, sort of very light creamish brown cotton for the quilting, and I think it turned out really beautifully. It's a lovely quilt. It will play in very well as a nice beautiful queen size quilt, or larger if you'd like to make something. I love the pattern. I actually chose. I think it works really nicely. For the corners, I did a very darkish blue for the binding. Now I wanted something a bit dark to frame it all up. I was considering adding a border, but I think it looks just as fine as it is. On the back, I use batiks, and I use gold thread because the batik had gold markings in it already, so you can see the quilting thread coming out there very, very nicely. So it ties in quite well, I think, with the back as well as the front, making the lap size quilt completely irreversible. It looks awesome. Very, very pleased with the outcome. It's a beautiful lap quilt, and the colors are just so retro. I keep saying that, but it's just how it appears to me. Very vibrant, very in season. So if you liked the tutorial and you'd like to make the quilt, do remember that the pattern is in the description box down below, and you can get it and make one. But I love it really, really nicely. As I said, I considered a border, but if I was going to add a border, I probably would have made it white also and did some really flower meandering all over the borders as well. But I think as it is, it's just fine. Not every quilt deserves a border, but this has turned out really beautifully, and the sun is coming out now. Looks really, really awesome. I absolutely love it. I'm loving the back as well. You can see all those gold tones with the leaf from the actual batik's print. It just turns out so lovely, and I'm happy that I use that gold thread as well. Didn't want any other color. I think gold was the right color to use at the back. But overall, it turned out really beautifully, and I had a lot of fun making it. It's a very quick quilt to make. I made the actual quilt top in one day, and I quilted it the next day. So it's not a big project at all. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Don't forget to sign up for the Block of the Month quilt along, which starts on the 14th of February. And I shall see you in the next one. If you enjoyed the tutorial, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell and give me a thumbs up. Jackson, where you going? Say hello. Jackson's had a haircut, and as usual, he always looks completely different, don't you? So, bye for now. Happy quilting, and I'll definitely see you guys in the next video.
You give giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my ass.